Welcome to the joy of coding.
Hello, and welcome to episode 79 of The Joy of Coding. My name's Mike Conley. It's going to be a great day. We're going to be hacking on Firefox. We're going to be plugging in and doing some complicated stuff. I don't know. I don't know how this day is going to work out. I've got a challenge set up for us that I've been spending the last 2 days trying to sort out, and I've had no luck. We're going to try another go at it today and see if we can make some headway. And I'll tell you all about that in just a second. First, here's my screen. Here's the agenda. Boop, 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 boop. Today is November 9th. A reminder that no plan survives breakfast. This could go horribly wrong. This is kind of a layout of how I want today to go down. I might not get through all of it. I doubt I'll get through all of it. But even if I do, it's possible I'll get sidetracked and put on something else, or I'll get down a rabbit hole or I'll get stuck. That's okay. That's exactly what this is all about, showing you what actually happens to me while I work. Excuse me, I have a hot cup of tea here. This agenda actually you might find interesting to click on some of these links and stuff. And this agenda is available to you if you scroll down. If you're watching on Air Mozilla, there's an additional link section. Click on the tab. There should be a link to this agenda, and you can follow along. And it updates as I write into it. It'll synchronize, and you can reload it, and it will update. If you're watching this on YouTube or Twitch, if I've moved this over to Twitch, the agenda will be somewhere in the video description. So what am I thinking of working on today? So this is actually something I don't think I talked about last time, but it's been in the works for a little while. It's an old bug, 418833. This is a bug to make it possible to style the checkbox and radio input elements. And this is something that you can only do. There's a limit to what you can do right now. So these are checkboxes, and we've increased the size of them, but they're still using the native appearance. And if I were to inspect these items, I'm pretty sure I've got, let's see here, this element. If I say on this checkbox, I'm going to say Moz appearance, none. You get this this is what's called the fallback or non-native checkbox. And that's great, except that you can't really style it. There's a real limit to what you can do with it. I can't, for example, change the background color to red on it. I don't think I can. I can't change the image. I can't change the padding to anything useful. Here's padding 15. It's still the same. We're restricted. We're really restricted. I think I can change the dimensions. Like I can say width 500 px and height 100 px or something. But I can't really do much else beyond that. So there's a patch that's been written. Actually, another fellow wrote it. Wes J, I think the fellow's name is. Wes. Not Wes Kosher, but this fellow. I want to give credit where it's due. Oh man, where's this fellow? Wes J. Yeah, Wesley Johnston wrote the original patch. I've kind of tried to push it through. I did. I landed. I got review and I landed it and it bounced. And that's because there was a test failure. There were two test failures. There was what's called a ref test failure, which means that we changed the appearance of something that web content is supposed to render. And that was a real bug for Android. I accidentally changed the styling of checkboxes on Android, so I fixed that. But there's another test failure that I haven't been able to figure out yet, and that's this one that's mentioned by Philor, who talks about browser toolbox options. So this is a DevTools test, and this has been the bane of my existence. For the past 2 days, I've been looking at it. I don't want to spend too long explaining it because I want to actually spend time working on it. But I want to give you some context as to what I'm doing. I don't think I'm already signed in. Oh yeah, I was here. But I'll do it here. Just typing in my password. Can I resume my screen session? Okay. And you need to be able to see the bottom, which is right about there. Okay. So I've got this test, and let me show you what it looks like when the test runs and fails. So I have to use a VNC server because I've SSH'd into a Linux machine. I can reproduce this on Windows and OS X as well, but Linux has the advantage of I can use RR to record the session, and I'm probably going to be doing that. So that's why I'm doing this on Linux right now. And what did I want to show you? I wanted to run the test. I thought maybe it was in my history. It's not. Is it over here? Oh, here it is. Yeah, this is what I want to run. So the test is now running. We should soon see the browser show up here because we've set this display, this VNC display, to be where Firefox shows up. There's nightly. And the test goes to the settings option here in the DevTools, and then it tries to click on this checkbox, and it waits for the checkbox to be checked, expecting the pref that this checkbox controls to be changed, and that never happens. For some reason, when we click on it, the event is not dispatched to the right element, so this input element doesn't see the click, and we fail. So I can cause the test to continue by clicking on it, and then we're all good. But unfortunately, the test as is doesn't allow me to like click on it every time this test runs. So we have to figure out why we're failing. So two pieces of information. One is that I can't reproduce this in a debug build, which is not good. The second piece of information is that I bisected the patch that changes, I bisected the patch that added all of the checkbox styling stuff, and what I found was that the part that seems to affect it is whenever I actually introduce. So the checkbox, we the box itself is drawn by layout, I'm pretty sure, but the check mark itself, we use an SVG background, so an SVG image to draw the check mark. And loading that check mark, even though we're not using the non-native checkbox, we're using the native one, but for some reason, having those SVGs be loaded and says the background and then overridden, I guess, because of the checkbox being natively drawn, causes some race or something where the checkbox is not properly clickable, or it's not clicked properly, or something along those lines. And so we're going to be digging in a little bit. I've already done a little bit of digging, and there are some areas of the code I've already been poking around, and we're going to be doing the same thing today. But I'm going to try and reproduce this with RR, because if I can do that, I've got a way better probability of solving this, because I've been trying to do it using other techniques. It's not been working out. So let's see if we can reproduce this using RR, because if not, well, we're in trouble. We're going to be doing more printf debugging, and that's hard. So I used dash dash debugger equals RR on mock Moki test, so that's attached to the RR debugger. Just a reminder, I'm doing this in my Linux build because RR for myself. At least I don't know if anyone else has gotten it working anywhere else, but I can only get it to work on this Linux machine that I'm SSH'd to. It's Hawkman. I can't run it in my VM, for example, and that has to do with like RR is very low level and does stuff with the hardware, and so I can't really screw around there and use virtualized hardware. So let's see if we can reproduce this bug with RR enabled. Yes, I can. Excellent. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is, this is good stuff. I'm gonna quit. The fact that I can reproduce this with RR is a really good thing. And now I'm gonna put in some signposts. I'm gonna show you some tricks that I've learned over my, in my time working on um, gecko stuff and debugging and whatnot. Is I'm gonna use, let's see, I had these OK falses in there to trigger screenshots. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use math.sign. I think you've seen me do this before, and that's and math.cos. And math.cos is used to, and I'll use math.tan. So these are not normally called by browser code, but I'm able to set breakpoints for them in C, in the native code, and that way I can know whenever I reach these points and then work backwards and forwards. So it allows me to like call into a function that pre-exists and then set breakpoints or something and hit them and then work my way backward. So I can trigger breaking from JavaScript. And that's a trick I learned from BZ. So let's try that again. I'm going to use RR. We're going to run the debugger with dash dash debugger. It's just a reminder, we are in the hash live hacking IRC channel. If you are interested in talking with me, chatting with me while I do this, there are instructions on how you can join the chat room down here in the agenda. There's like a web client. You can click on this and bam, you're in the live hacking channel. And that's a great way of getting through to me. You can talk to me. If you have ideas on what might be going wrong, that could help me a great deal. People are checking stuff in. That's why I'm getting notifications. Okay, so now we have hit the we hit the problem, and now I clicked on it, which the part that resolves the um, the promise, like the pref observer fired whenever I clicked on it manually, and I also used a math.tan there, so I'll be able to detect that. Now what I'm going to do is RR replay. I'm going to try and use break on JS math sign on thread 1. Yep, break also on math underscore cos on thread 1, not cox thread 1, there we go, and then break on JS math underscore tan thread 1, and now let's run. So let's see how this goes. Hopefully we hit these breakpoints and then we can start our investigation. I'm pretty sure I also got rid of optimization in the build. Like if I look at the Moz config I've been building with. Oh no, I still have optimize. So this, I might get screwed around a little bit by attempting to move through an optimized build. If you've ever tried to debug an optimized build, it can be a little frustrating because things that you expect to exist or be around have been optimized out by the compiler. It's doing some like tricky stuff, and so you end up moving around all over the place in strange ways. Okay, so we've hit math.sign, that's good. And that's exactly what we wanted. Now, where in the code do we care about? I actually had some debugging, printf debugging code in something I shelved, and I want to take a look at to remind me of where I was in the code. So shelve patch default 01, was that it? Yeah, it was here, and then less. So it was in, where did I care about? Display list, layout utils, press shell, we heard about it. I guess let's start by going through the press shell line 7492 base as press shell.cp 2. We're going to go to press shell handle event, and we're just going to start stepping through. Break ns press shell handle event. What? Why aren't you? Oh, sorry, it's not ns press shell. It's just press shell. So we'll continue. We hit it. That's exactly what we expected. So just a sort of a, I don't know if you've even heard of RR. Maybe this is weird. What's going on? Like, how am I debugging right now? What we did before when we ran that test is we recorded a trace, and now I'm replaying it, and I'm able to debug that trace. It's deterministic, which means that it will replay the same way every time, and I can go backwards and forwards and inspect things, which is really, really nice. Excuse me. So now I'm going to step through. And we're going to see where we get to. There is a call in here where it tries to figure out the frame. It's trying to get the frame for the input event. In this case, it's a click event. It's trying to figure out where, like, what's the thing I've clicked on. And I'm just trying to find where that is. We're getting the mouse event. Get event coordinates relative to some frame. Find frame targeted by input event. That's what we want. Find frame targeted by input event. What is that? Where is that from? Why can't I not set find frame targeted by input event? Where is that? Targeted by input event. That's in positioned event targeting under the Mozilla namespace. Okay, so let's try this, Mozilla. Okay, good. And we get there, and then we do this get frame for point, and that I think is where we're starting to screw up a little. Inside here, we're going to go to layout utils, get frame for point. So we're in there. See, like, this is the sort of optimization stuff that, like, this repeated profiler label thing, this is where the optimization is kind of burning me. So now we're getting frame for the area, frames for the area. Let's see. Got too much recursion there. Break get frames for area as layout utils. Reverse continue. Get frame for point. Get frames for area. Putting together display list. A frame in this case is the, what are you? It's a viewport frame. So I think that's actually the iframe that contains the checkbox. Okay, and we're trying to find the subframe. So we're going to say build display list for stacking context is where we're going to. It'd be handy if we knew the memory address of the frame for the for the checkbox. And we might be able to figure that out when I do the real click event later on, and then we can go back and see if we can get at it. So build display list. So style display is building layer event regions. Replaced elements have their visibility handled here because they're visually atomic. This frame is visible for painting. This is zero opacity stacking guns we're painting. We're not aiming opacity. Don't do this if we're going to compute plugin geometry. Sorry, all this is probably hard to read. Wow, that took a while to zoom in. Why are you taking so long? So many calculations. Actually, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to see if I can find out what the actual frame of the um, checkbox is. So I'm going to continue. Break, disable, disable 8, disable 4, disable 5, and we're going to disable 6. And math.coast fires. And then real-time event 38. I don't know what that is. And then math.tan. So math.tan fired, and that was after we had fired the event saying, yo, we've got, we've clicked on the checkbox. So let's re-enable the pres shell handle event. For reverse continue to it, and now enable 5. We're going to find the frame. Oh, did we already find it? What happened just now? Reverse continue to find frame targeted by input event. Get the flags. And now we get frame for point is the target. Target. So that's the frame that we ended up finding. Anything interesting about it? It is a text frame. That might not be what we care about. Okay, I'm going to quit because here's what I want to do instead. I like that we've got this reproducing nicely, but what I'm going to do is do a set timeout function, because I know that if we wait a certain amount of time, then we properly can click. So if I do math tan, whoops, and then math.coast after it as a way of signaling. So then we should be able to look and see how this one works in comparison to this one works. This one working. So I'm going to dump a message here. Doing click, that should work. I don't know if that's useful, but there it is. So we're going to run that test again. This test should run all the way through automatically. And I'll bet you're wondering, well, why don't we just make the test wait 250 milliseconds or wherever and just move on? And the answer is because we need to understand what's happening here. That we shouldn't have to do that wait. Why are we needing to wait? What is going on? We have to understand. That is very important. Only in the worst case scenario do we give up and not try to understand. Have to try to understand. Okay, so that opened up. Come on.
Hey, what happened?
Oh, there we go.
Hi-oh!
Got what we wanted. Okay, so now we're going to do a replay, and then I'm going to set my breakpoints again. JS, math sign, break JS, math cos, and JS, math tan. I probably should have put those on thread 1, but I think it'll be fine. Phew, phew, phew. What? Where am I? SIG 38. Real-time event 38. What is SIG 38? SIG. .38. What's 38? Some kind of... Okay, anyway, we hit our math sign. That's good. But I'm going to fast forward to cos to tan. Okay, so this is the one that is supposed to work. And we're going to do press shell handle event. And we're going to get to the thing that we want to click. What is it? Get event coordinates, get event coordinates. Find frame targeted by input event. List. So we're going to set that to target. Next, so p target. This is the checkbox. This is the memory address of the checkbox. So I'm going to write that down. So many notes from my previous attempts at doing this. Okay, so RR replay. So checkbox is there. Okay, now I'm going to go back in time. Disable for. Find frame targeted by input event was the name of the thing that we cared about, though. Okay. Reverse continue. It's going to hit tan. Then it's going to hit cos, and then it's going to hit sign. And sign's the first one. So now we're going to set up this breakpoint. What was it? Find frame targeted by input event. Yeah. We're going to hit forward. We're going to hit it. It's RR is amazing. It's like cheating. It's time travel. I love it. And then we get layout utils, get frame for point. Right. layout utils get frame for point. Disable 5 and continue at 6. Get frame for point. What's down here? It's going to be get frames for area. Frames for area. Okay. Break layout utils get frames for area. Disable 6. And then what it does is it puts together a list. It builds the list, does a hit test, and then it constructs the out frames, out frames. And there's too much data, but the first one's what we care about. Can I look at 0? P out frames. It's been optimized out. But what we end up finding, element at 0 is what we wanted. P out frames, element at 0. This is I don't know what that means. Like, which one do we care about? But that's what it found, and that is not the checkbox. Get frame for point. In bad case, get frame for point as layout utils. Let me pump up the font, pump up the jam, pump up the jam. Get frame for point finds that. In good case, ns layout utils get frame for point finds what? So I'm gonna, what breakpoint is this? 7, disable 7. I'm gonna continue. Coast, tan, re-enable 7. And then what do we do? Do the hit test. And then element at 0. That is what we want. In good case, we find that. Now, what I don't know what these two memory addresses represent. The second one represents the thing it finds, I think. Or that represents store a frame and an element type. It's like, what is that? I have no idea what that is. That's just some value at a memory address. But like the target that we end up getting now is that 650 value. And that's the one that we can click. So disable 7, reverse continue, coast, sign, enable 7, continue. Do all that business. We get the frame for point. What's the target? Yeah, it finds that thing at 99.8. So it should have found this, and it finds that instead. That's the problem. It finds the wrong thing, and I don't know why. And I think we have to go deeper. We need to figure out why it just found the wrong thing. So reverse continue. So we're back. We're about to do the wrong thing. And building the display list. This list is where, well, first of all, is the frame the same? PA frame. So the frame, let's make sure that we're starting from the same information. In bad case, frame, a frame in, where am I? In get frame for area is that, and we're going to split out the good case. So, disable 7 again, and go to the bad case, enable 7, get frames for area, a frame, is that the same? A frame and NS layout utils get frame for area is that, those are the same. So we're starting from the same place. That's good. That is a good thing, because that's, if I would be lost, I would be totally sunk. Well, we'd understand the problem. For the most part, we're looking in the wrong place. But we're looking in the right place. We're starting from the frame in the right place. So reverse continue back to where we did it wrong. And then enable 7 again, continue. Okay. So we do it wrong, and we do it reverse step. Or reverse next. Reverse continue. I screwed up. Hang on. Reverse continue. Yeah, there we go. Build the display list. Ignore paint suppression. Are the flags going in? The flags are just empty. That's fine. We enter the press shell in the builder. And then we say build display list for stacking context. So a frame, sorry, was it NSI frame or NS frame? This is where all the magic happens in this function. This is where we're, I think, going to find the problem or see the problem happen. So we're now building the display list, and this is the one where we things are going to go wrong. So what are get state bits? What state bits do we have? Maybe inlined. Frame too deep in frame tree? Nope. Is frame of type replaced, or is, like, we're about to evaluate that, and we'll see if we exit early. We don't. We do just style display. We see if we're building, if we need event regions. Do we need event regions? Optimized out. I guess it turns out we end up not needing that or something. How about now? False. We do not need event regions. Okay. Opacity item for events and plugins only. If the display, what is disp? Is display, and disp m will change bit field has been optimized out. I guess it's equal to 0. Okay. There's some 3D stuff. We're going to see if it's transformed. It's not. It doesn't have a blend mode. Not transformed. Has a filter. Optimized out. Using mask. Using filter again. Optimized out. Use opacity. False. Use sticky position. Optimized out. False. Build display list. Building display list. What is that? It's a display list builder. We should take a look at auto building display list. Take a look at that. So it's going to go and get all of the, what's it going to do? Whenever we construct it, it will go and get the current frame, and then, okay, so nothing too handy there. Use fixed position building. None of those things. Clear clip. Display list collection set. And transform the perspective index. Check for APZ aware event handlers. Get clip prop, clip rect, clip prop, clip false or something. Mark absolute frames for display list. Building layer event region, adjust window dragging region, and then we build display list. Build display list. That seems like a big deal. And what's it gonna do? If we look at build display list. What? On this frame. So this frame, whatever it is, we're going to call build display list on it. Display list. And then we entered build display list for stacking context. Okay. What? So we re-entered this thing. Oh man. You know what would really help is if this was not an optimized build. Because I'm getting thrown around all over the place. And I'm hesitant to throw all the data we've got away. Especially if that's a wild goose chase. But building is fast. Because on Linux we're using like shared build machines. Or we have like a distributed build cluster. And what would be great is if I didn't have to deal with all this stuff. Alright, so I'm going to quit. I'm going to try a thing. I'm going to disable optimize and disable JEmalloc. And I'm going to build. And this should only take a minute or two. And in the meantime, what can we do with our time? We can look at, maybe do a review, a quick review. I have a review request here. Browser keyboard shortcut does not work when focus is on input box. Navigate to this. Okay, and click on input box, get focus, press Command R. Whoops. Command R. Page is reloaded, but nothing happens. Seems that we should move our event listeners to system group. May do it in this bug. think I have to enable the date time. If there's a date forms, date time, I enable that, and then if I reload this, there we go. Can't reload the page. Okay, that is definitely a bug, yeah. But check it out, we've got this like neat date time picker that I've been helping to review. But yeah, that's for sure a bug. A bug. So what's Jessica's patch? We're gonna look at the patch. How's our build doing? Still going. Not too much longer now. On the input, she says cursor default and then Moz user select none. I have to look up what that is. Moz user select. Controls the actual selection operation. This doesn't have any effect on content load as Chrome except as text boxes. None. The text of the element and sub-elements will not be able to be selected. I see, because right now, well, I can select that for. I suspect we're not supposed to be able to. Really? On the date time input, user select is none. Whoa, there's quite a bit going on here. On focus. Adding key event listeners in the system group. Okay, well, I'll look at that in just a sec, just checking out how the build's going, just a couple more minutes. So what she does is says user select is none and cursor is to default. Then we add an event listener key press in the system group. And we do that for click, focus, blur, paste, copy, and cut. Whereas before what we were doing was we were just listening to general focus, blur, click, and key press. I guess she's using the video controls as like as an example. Okay. And in the destructor, she's added a destructor that sets the input element to null. Okay, and then we remove the event listeners. This key press was capturing, and then click, focus, blur, paste, copy, and cut. Okay. Looks all straightforward. And then instead of having these like handlers for the sort of the generic events, she's rewritten some of the event handlers. So on focus, before we were doing this like log focus on target and then get the original target if it's the text field. Then we're going to select IC. So if we like, the idea being that like if we change focus and then we regain focus, or let's say I've changed windows and I come back, we regain focus, then the selection is put back on. Okay. So here on focus target, if target is an instance of target type is text, last is target select. Okay, a little more cautious there. That's a good idea. On blur, put value from fields. That's fine. And then on key press, key, the log on key press, key, and then just change this a little bit. Ignore keys with modifiers. Weren't doing that before. If we are pressing the Control, Alt, or Meta key, let me get out of there. Disallow copy, paste, and cut. Are these keyboard shortcuts universal? I'm seeing evidence that we localize these keyboard shortcuts. For example, a permalink. Close picker on enter or space key. On arrow right or arrow left. On arrow right, then we advance to next field. What? On arrow right, we advance. Oh, whether or not to reverse. Reverse is false, otherwise true, okay. Arrow up, page down, home, and handle keyboard nav, and prevent default, and otherwise printable characters. Event key code. Code. It's been removed. Apparently, key code is deprecated. See. Is recommended instead. And then what's she doing? Key code at 0. What's key code at 0? Value of key code. So it's key value from an ASCII character which is inputable by the key even with shift modifier. If the system in Windows is Windows, a native key code of pressed key indicates that the key is A00 to 9. Use a key code for it. So like on, oh, where's Firefox? Gecko. What's 0? What is this? In US. In international RO. What is Intel RO key next to the right shift key? Printable characters. Key code equals 0. Which problem is it's recommended watch event which is key In a key press event, the Unicode value of the key press is stored in either the key code or char code property, never both. If the key pressed generates a character, char code is set to the code of the character respecting the letter case. Otherwise, the code of the press key is stored in key code. So what she's checking is whether or not what you're pressing is something that fits into char code. Oh. Also, it took me a little moments to figure out how this worked. Would it not make more, do you think it would be clear? Checked for a event char code instead. Is char code usable? MDN char code. Non-standard and deprecated. So what should we use instead? Probably a keyboard event code. And what is that? Keyboard code. So escape is called escape code. So what she's trying to do is find out JavaScript event printable character key. Let's look for something within the past year. Printable. Unimplemented. See this bug. Char and key. Incomplete. Which in key code deprecated. Is recommended instead. Is this really the only way of determining if the character is printable? I shouldn't say only, they're really the best way. Or is there a way that doesn't use deprecated APIs? And on click, what were we doing before? Click. This is comment. We see that the click is on a thing. We check to see if it's default prevented, disabled, or read only. And then if we're an instance of a button, we open the date time picker. Okay, that's fine. And on paste, we prevent the defaults. So I just have a couple of questions for minusing until I hear more. Hey, Jessica. This looks pretty good, but I'm worried about hard coding some of these characters because I think because I don't know if the cut, copy, paste characters are universal. We appear to localize them. Okay, so that's done, and we've got our opt build done, or our build done. I'm going to try running this test again, and let's see if we get our failure. Actually, the best way of knowing if we hit our failure is by getting rid of the part that like caused it to pass, which is this set timeout. So if we don't hit, if we end up just sort of sitting there, then we know we did our job, and we have a good build to work with. Okay, so let's try that again. Come on, come on, come on, come on.
I can't do my work!
What's happening here? Come on, I hope it fails. No, it passed.
Mamma mia!
Which means we were on the right track before. We have to we have to What if I don't disable JE Malloc? Or what if I only disable JE Malloc? I wonder what that's like. We'll build that next. I just want to make this work. Okay, so we did one review there. What else can we do? I got a review from this contributor to get us out of full screen mode if a plugin crashes. Nicely documented. Is within full screen element. Full screen element. The DOM element is currently full screen or null. The DOM element which contains the crash plugin or the crash plugin itself. True if the plugin is a descendant of the full screen DOM element. False otherwise. Traverses down iframes until it finds a non-iframe full screen DOM element. Target iframe to begin searching from. Returns DOM element. The full screen DOM element contained within the iframe could be an inner frame or the original iframe if no inner DOM element is found. So what we do when a plugin crashes, see if there's a full screen element, and if so, then we see if the target is within the full screen element. So what it does is we see if the full screen element is an iframe, and if so, then we call get true full screen element. So it's going to take the iframe, and if the iframe is not undefined and there's a full screen element in the iframe, then we keep doing that. We go down the full screen element, full screen iframe. We keep doing that until we find the one that doesn't have a full screen element. And then we see if we contain the DOM element, and if so, we return true. Parent iframe, DOM element, owner global, frame element. If parent iframe, return this is within full screen element. If the DOM we check to see if, oh, and we're done our build. So let's just really quickly see if that's gonna work. We get the parent iframe. We see if there's a parent iframe, or if the element is within an iframe, and if so, I wonder if this is redundant because we do this part. I think I asked that before though. So that all looks good. I'm curious about the redundancy. Did I ask about redundancy? My above comment will cause traverse down the lowest full screen element that might contain the plugin. This is it. We can probably just do contains check and that last element will be done, or am I missing a case? Potential case was with something like iframe, full screen div, iframe plugins. The algorithm would go down to the div and then stop. Meanwhile, oh, I see. If, yeah, okay, that's what's up. So the element itself might be within an iframe. Is within full screen element. Got it. Got it. Don't need the new line here. So let's take a look at the tests that were written. Shoot, and this passed too. So whenever I disable optimization, the test passes. Even if I, like, what if I do Chaos Monkey? Or like RR recording Firefox Chaos mode. If I do Chaos mode, will it fail? Let's do chaos mode a couple times and see if we can get it to fail. And if so, then we might be in luck. It's 2:11. Let's keep this review going. So he's got a bunch of pages that like set up the different scenarios where something will be full screened. An iframe, for example. Divs. There's a head. Element by ID iframe1. Plugin crash full screen element canceled from div iframe plugin. Okay. And what's full screened? Can you also indicate which element is full screened in this title? Full screen element will be div1, so this one. So div1, full screen. And then the plugin is frame content document frame 2 plugin 1. Okay. This can just be, well, test full screen canceled. Boilerplate. What is happening in here? The boilerplate comments, I don't think don't add too much. Hey, all right. Timed out. But we timed out. Did we time out in the right place? Iframe is no. Let's do that again. Let's do it again. And let's pull up VNC.
It's me, Mario!
Come on, come on, come on, come on. I've got cold tea here. Ooh, not too cold. Or not too hot. It's not very warm tea today. Okay. Okay. What's going on here? Console ready, click on the thing, but it worked. We clicked on it. So that test worked out. We need to run it again. We need to run again. More chaos mode. More chaos mode. So we'll have that running. I'm gonna shrink my window down so we can keep an eye on it. Creates an event listener which removes itself upon activating so that it is only triggered once. A should probably specify that this is the full screen change event we're listening for. Add one-time full screen change event listener. This is pretty verbose. How about wait for full screen change? And even better, have it. Well, I think maybe this contributor said something about using spawn task. Should probably take a read here. Not sure if that's why I ran this. There's something mystical about head. Head is referenceable despite not being included in moki-test.ini. Exactly. One of my tests fail when using head, but does not fail when using the same functions referenced. Half of my tests use exactly the same code, but do not fail. Reference in head, but removing it doesn't change anything. We have information for output. This all helps cut down. Ah, the test passed again. Damn it. Alright. Even though... So, I don't think we can get away with it. I'm going to do it one more time, actually. One more time. Chaos mode. Chaos mode for the win. Does not fail and run as a group, but does fail and run individually. Repeat code on one test for the Viking side. Okay. Have it return a promise and use spawn task, since that'll make these functions much easier to read and reason about. Fail. Crash plugin. And what happens here? Come on, fail for me. Fail for me. Do it. Fail. Ah! Didn't fail. Alright. So we're back to square one. Back to inspecting it optimized. Okay. Build. That also invalidates the memory addresses that we'd looked at before. We're going to have to regenerate those. I think I'd prefer if this returned a promise that resolves if the crash proceeds and rejects if it doesn't. Wait for condition. Full screen, no, full screen after plan assumes that the element is already full screen prior to calling this function. Function execute after checking for the absence of a full screen element. Execute regardless of whether the check was successful or not because of how wait for condition works. The message show if it fails to find no full screen. Knit in general, closing, comment block closers should be on their own line. canceled full screen. Is this even necessary? If we use spawn task and the users of this function could set up a promise like this. Let change promise equal wait for full screen change, and then yield crash plugin yield change promise. At this point, we know that we've exited full screen because full screen change fired. Same as about for this one, check still full screen. Crash the plugin. Function test the full screen element stays full screen after the plugin crashes. So an element maybe that's okay. Since the plugin crash is not synchronous, what we might be able to do instead is poll for document.moz full screen element to ensure that we stay in full screen and don't fire the full screen change event. Instead is use not poll for full screen element, is return a promise that resolves after 5 seconds but fails if it sees the full screen change event but rejects and cancels its timeout if it sees the full screen change event. That way we give the crash something like that. So after 5 seconds or so, test full screen canceled. Okay, so that's done. We're gonna do our replay now. We're back at it. Break, JS, math, sign. Yes, break, math, oh, shoot. I'm saying shoot because we haven't run the test yet. And I need to put this chunk back. We're getting rid of chaos mode. We don't need it now. So what else does he do? Test full screen cancel. This is a function test that the full screen element gets canceled if the plugin crashes. With spawn task, I envision this as, whoops, add task function. That's a good example. Not with browser. And head. Doing click, that should work. Yeah, okay, so that worked. That's what we wanted. Replay. Yield, crash plugin. Um, uh, I actually think we can go ahead and just have this exist in your tests as test files. Test files as get full screen element and plugin references, then yield ensure we're full screen. Wait. Let full screen equals wait for full screen change. Full screen element Moz request full screen yield full screen. We're full screen now. Yield crash plugin set up the full screen, the next full screen change listener. Change listener. Let full screen exit equal wait for full screen change. Yield crash plugin. Yield full screen exit. Okay, not document Moz full screen element. We are not full screen anymore. Element is not full screen anymore. Same applies down below, but using the timeout function I suggest above. Okay, so break.js math sign, break.js math cos, break.js math tan, and then continue. We're going to wipe out some of the stuff I had in my notes. The checkbox, we need to figure out what the checkbox is going to be. So actually we should probably forward ourselves to tan and then figure out, yeah, get frame for point, what it returns. Or input event frame, find frame targeted by input event. That's the one. Break. Disable for. Continue to cos, then tan. enable 4, continue. Get frame for point. P target. Hey, is that the same memory address? That'd be crazy. No, it is not. But it ends the same way, which is interesting. And then a frame, reverse, break, as layout utils, get frame for area. What? Get frame for point? Reverse continue. PA frame, and that's the frame. In a good case. And that is very similar. Again, it ends the same way. That's neat how that math works out. And I'll bet you those are going to match. And in the good case, get frame for point. We'll get out frames element at 0, which is that. That's the good case. 650, 440, 650. Okay. And we're at 5. We're going to disable that breakpoint. Disable 4. Reverse. Continue. Reverse. 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 4. Enable 5. Continue. Actually, get frame from point. PA frame is what we expect it to be. Just double check. In bad case, yes, that is correct. And then when we do out frames element at 0, we get what we didn't want, which is this. AE98. Okay, so now we're back to where we were. Took us a little while, but we got there. I'm going to go along a little bit today, folks. I hope that's okay. I really want to solve this mystery. And I feel like I screwed around a little bit with build options, trying to get an unoptimized build. And then what I wanted to do was use a breakpoint in, well, get frame for point. What does it do? Get frame for point gets some out frames from get frames for area. Out frames is what we pass to hit test when we hit test. Now maybe the frames are actually, the frame we care about is actually in there when we build the frames, but we're not passing the hit test. Let's see what elements we iterate with the hit test. Out frames, hit test. Frames with depth, whatever, flush frames. Out frames is what we end up returning. And that 3D context is there, we don't care. Bounds, transforms. For each item, we do the hit test. What's item in this case? Item is a Display item. Not a frame. We'll eventually write frames. Arraying transformation. Flush frames array. Temp to out frames. Flush frames array. What's that? That's where we append some frames. From temp. And here's where we append elements to temp. So that's where I think we care about. Temp append element frames with depth. Get hit depth at point. So 2156 display list 2156. Oh, we don't actually hit it. Reverse, continue. Continue frame, get frame for point. Frames for area. So maybe I should have put the breakpoint actually here on display list hit test. Reverse next. Okay, now we're in hit test. Item buffer, what is item? Display items. And like, are any of those AC2380? I guess it's pop 7844. There. They all kind of seem like they're in the same area. 74488. So I don't think our checkbox is in there. Frame for 7488, 7488. Let's get out of this loop. P s display list .cpp 2109. Our break. P a state item buffer dot length. How long is that buffer? PI 21. So there's like 22 things in that list. Get bounds. Then we try and get the frames. And then what do we do? What are we doing in there? Pen element, we set length. And we're doing this stuff. we recursively get the out frames here for the item. Element at 0 frame, which is not the one we care about. Element at 0. And then we go through each of the out frames. Out frames, element at 0, AE98. Bad case. Next. And then we see if we're receiving pointer events. This is interesting. Okay. Next element at PF. AE98 again. It's AE98. What did we find before? Is frame receiving pointer events? Where was that? Line is at 2168. Handle the mouse through feature and pointer events. If we look through the out frames. And then right frames. What are we doing with right frames? We make it point at out frames. And right frames is where we write the frames. Okay. So 2167 as display list, see 2167 PF. 2938 is what it looks at next. No. DO20. No. Continue. C380. No. 3BFO. No. 6070. What we care about is D650. D650. Looking for D650. I guess I should like set a conditional breakpoint. Oh, and then we left. So we didn't actually, like, we didn't even evaluate it in here. But wait, maybe we missed it. Let's do that again. Break info break, but I'm gonna do this slightly differently. Disable 8, disable 7, disable 6, disable 5, disable 9, but reverse continue. Okay, now enable 9. Or wait, no, I'm going to disable 9, but break in nsDisplayList.cpp 2167. Now, what's the syntax for conditional breakpoint GDB syntax? Break condition if, so I say if, and then 2167. What's 2167 again? Here. Okay. Break at 2167 if f equals, and then a value. And we never hit it. But let's see it if we hit it in the good case, maybe. So disable 4, continue, continue. Here, it does find it in now for this case. Disable 10. I'm going to actually wait until we hit math 10. Now enable 10. And yeah, we find it. We find it. So it looks like we're not ever evaluating. Where is the code? This display list, where are you? There you go. We're never evaluating, like we never put it into out frames. And out frames is, so we fail the hit test. We fail the hit test. We have a builder. I wonder if it would make sense to we fail the hit test. Or we never even consider it in the hit test. We do this hit test from where? Layout utils.cpp. Hit test. We build the display list. And that gives us the builder. Wait, does it? Well, let's build display list for stacking context do again. It's going to do stuff with the builder. Building display list with the builder. Clip state builder. Builder. Make absolute frames for display list. Add frame. Ah, interesting. Builder. In NS frame. This. So let's see if this is called reverse continue. Break there if this equals then the checkbox. No. Never hit that. Shoot. But at some point we must add it to the display list somehow. Display list item, or like there's like a frame list. We're trying to item display transform, display on layer, result list. Frame stacking context. PF is this NSI frame. F, what's the parent of it? Can we call get parent on it? Parent. Next sibling parent. That's its parent. Checkbox parent is that C9F8. M parent. And then M parent is a box, flex container, which has a parent of that checkbox parent. Okay, let's see if delete 11. So we're going to break at NSI frame build display list for stacking context if this equals, how about that? Continue. No. Does not like. All right, I'm going to have to call it in just a sec. Oh, it's because we were in display list hid test. Disable 10, reverse, continue. Math 10, oh, okay. So it didn't work. To reference frame. I'm gonna have to call it soon, people. Oh man, I'm gonna need some help. Outer reference frame. Revert to the outer reference frame and offset because all display items we create from now are outside the transform. Find reference frame for. Result list. Is there a way of like watch when memory address added to array? Probably not. No. Well, maybe actually. I mean, break If I set a if I watch out frames, insert hardware watch point, 2A hardware, command aborted, disable 13. Auto T array is of type NST array. NST array have some way of push or base type move. T array. Auto T array. ST array. Alright, I'm going to call it in just one short second. I just want to double check how stuff works. Access to passing in place, usage access passing as a parameter in place enumeration. I want to add deleting. JavaScript, access to elements, get length, observe, append element. So break NST array, append element. No. Out. Frames. I don't think I can do this. Append element. No. Out. P out frames. ST safe array as type base. I can watch whenever its index changes, or like when its length changes. M length. All right, I'm calling it. I gotta go. I'm sorry, folks. This episode has to end. Thank you so much for watching episode 79 of The Joy of Coding. I hope you found this entertaining or useful or whatever. I found it pretty entertaining, but also a little frustrating. I'm hoping to get this mystery solved soon, but currently I'm hamstrung a little bit. RR is helping me, though, and hopefully I'll have an answer soon. Have a great day. Let me know what you thought of this video in the comments. So if you go to the agenda, there is a rate this episode. I read all of them, and I want to know what you think. So please let me know. And on that note, take care. Bye-bye. Sorry.
The joy of coding.
See ya.